me, Chamberlain, will be emperor. And he goes for the scepter, and the emperor goes, no, I am still and he fucking dies. And everyone's like, whoa. He just sits back, just gives a big old death fart. Hello, and thank you for checking out the video. I just want to let you know that I not only create content on my YouTube channel, Class in the Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I review movies, cartoons, and TV shows live, while also playing single-player games and multiplayer games. I also have a Patreon, where subscribers have access to hundreds of video and audio commentaries for films and cartoons, as well as podcasts and videocasts. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. Enjoy the video. Now, my friends, I want to go ahead and get into tonight's review because we got a lot of stuff on the docket for today. And this review, chat, this scene by scene breakdown, spoiler review, if you will, is for The Dark Crystal, the 1982 dark fantasy puppet film directed by Jim Henson, a movie that was underappreciated when it first came out, chat. Movie executives, they didn't understand it. They didn't get it. Famously, he showed this to executives at a screening, and most of them were walking out and saying, like, how can you sell this to kids? You have weird vulture, zombie-looking things sucking the souls and the sweet, sweet essence from cute, cuddly-looking little pod people and puppets. You got half the characters are naked and they're bathing, and you're implying puppet sex. How are you gonna sell this to kids? And it was meant for mature children, chat. It was meant for those that have evolved beyond the Muppets and Sesame Street. And he wanted to do it still with Muppets, still with puppets, chat, and I liked it. Now, not to say this movie doesn't have some problems. It does have some pacing issues. It cuts some corners in terms of the narrative and such. No, it definitely does that. But the story, the world building, the amazing puppetry, the voice acting, I think it's outstanding. It's some quality stuff, chat. Some of Jim Henson's best and most underappreciated work. Got a number of other great people here. I mean, famously, Jim Henson is called the director of this movie. Also, it was co-directed by Frank Oz, chat, who, famously puppeted a number of the other characters in this film, too, including the Chamberlain, chat. Which is awesome. Win Fox, thank you for the 200 biddies. Appreciate that, good sir. Heart pitter pattern. Naya Brownie, oh my God, Naya Brownie is here too, sucking out that sweet essence. It's sticky, by the way. CDR Spot, greetings and salutations to you. Hope you're living long and prospering, good sir. And we got Lanley M. Neely here as well. We got a lot of good people here tonight, chat. I love it. Welcome, guys. Good to have you here. But before I continue on with my review, my appreciation for this movie show, which, by the way, when it came out, it was like a moderate hit. Had a budget, very expensive budget, about $25 million, and it just made like $41.4 million. So it made some money, but I don't think not enough to where they declared it a hit or anything. But in years since, it's garnered a cult following. Love, chat. Famously, they did the Netflix series, The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, which I loved. I thought was even better than the movie. And Netflix promptly canceled it. But at the same time, it's like not enough people are watching that because The Dark Crystal, it's a niche movie for a niche audience. And so I get why they did it. But it's a shame because it was so goddamn good, in my opinion, chat. But there's there's interesting history of old cancel sequel ideas, and there's prequel novels, of course, that you can go ahead and read. And maybe one day, chat, it'll come back. I would love for it to come back, but now is not the time for that, chat. Now is not the time for speculation. I need to ask you a very important question. That question being, how many of you have seen Jim Henson and Frank Oz's 1982 cult classic, The Dark Crystal? I'm very curious about this. Yeah, Netflix canceled him. That one hurt. That one hurt me. I was like, shit, because I love the show so much. Jason says, yep, Hamilberg, I have not. I need to fix that. I'm going to fix you. I'm going to tell you what happened, my friend. Everybody, no, now stop asking me. DT Dark Slayer, I haven't. M0, I never seen it. Ooh, I like this. A lot of you haven't seen this movie. Interesting. On the series as well. So, hope they find a way to finish that story leading up to the events of Dark Crystal. True, because it's years. It's years. Christina says, I've never seen it. Wow. I don't think I've ever actually seen this, Brando. This is fascinating, chat. Most of you haven't seen this. I've not seen Bad Boy says I've not seen the Dark Crystal in years. Once or twice when I was a kid, I've seen Labyrinth more. And based on this movie, then, Labyrinth kind of happened. That's what it was. Winfox says, I have it in 4K. Somebody says, me. There we go. CDR Spock says, never. Crispy Rich, I've seen some parts of this movie, actually. Is this movie with David Bowie's copy? That is Labyrinth. Some people get Dark Crystal and Labyrinth confused. Probably because, they got puppets and everything. They have a very, very similar aesthetic. It's funny. I always prefer the Dark Crystal over Labyrinth. I don't dislike Labyrinth. I don't know. I just like Dark Crystal. I like the world building better. Where Labyrinth is much more of a kid's movie. But a lot of people do love Labyrinth. And I think that was I don't remember if that was a hit or not. I don't recall. I have to look up some information on it. Is anything like Muppets Christmas? This? No. No, I don't think they were sucking out the sweet soul essence of the Muppets in the Christmas Carol or Muppets Christmas. Oh, they might have been in the background. That could have happened, champ. Does Labyrinth have puppets? Yeah, the Labyrinth has puppets and people in costume and things like that. It's got a lot of that good stuff. So this is Lisa Hard Hands, a pleasure to have you here. Chat, it is an absolute. I'm kind of just surprised. I'm a little flabbergasted that so many of you have never seen the Dark Crystal, which is that's kind of cool too. Because one, and it's like I can literally say anything I want in this review, and you'll just take it at face value. So very easy for me to lie. No, I'm gonna give you my breakdown. I'm gonna give you my scene by scene breakdown, of course. But yeah, I recommend checking it out. Maybe we got to do a watch party for this one day, since so many of you have not seen it. This is on HBO Max. If you have a subscription to that, you can watch it that way. And I recommend picking it up. It may not be for everybody, but it's a very different kind of puppet film where, again, a lot of those movies they're meant specifically for children. This one certainly is too, but it's darker in tone. It's a little slower in pacing because it gives time to the world and showcasing the environment and kind of the structure, the cultural structure of these various societies that we explore within it. And the Netflix series does even more of that, and I think to great effect and even better effect than this movie. But I've always had an appreciation for this film, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm obligated to review that. So I was like, yes, I'm in the mood to watch Dark Crystal and tell you about it, chat. But my friends, we got to go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details. And we start at the top. We have a narrator, Chad, who comes in. He says, everything is shit on the planet of Thra, this mystical world, chat, that was once filled with life and whimsy and danger, and now it's being soul-sucked by those goddamn Skeksis, chat. You have the two mystical races on the planet. You have the Skeksis, these just horrifying-looking vulture lizard-like creatures who are kind of like, they're the aristocracy, chat. They came down here 1,000 years ago during the Great Conjunction, and they've been fucking up things for centuries, chat. Now they've made it even worse. And you also have their counterparts, chat, the Mystics, who are the complete opposites of the Skeksis, chat. These are wizard-like creatures, nomadic-like creatures. They're in tune with the environment, chat. They love to explore and interact with other cultures. They're kind, where the Skeksis are cruel, chat. And the thing that gives power, the life to the planet of Thra is the crystal, chat, the Dark Crystal. However, in the years of the Skeksis' rule, the crystal has become the Dark Crystal, has become corrupted by their evil, by their lust for the sweet, sweet essence of the citizens of Thra. And they have ruled for 1,000 fucking years since the beginning of the Great Conjunction, chat. But another Great Conjunction is at hand. But all might be lost, all might be lost. Everything is dying on the planet of Thra. What could happen? Who will save us all, chat? I'll tell you in just a bit. But the movie, after that wonderful little narration, how the narrator just basically says, everything is awful. Everything is awful here. We are now fully introduced to the Skeksis, chat, who are performing an energy ceremony in front of the Dark Crystal. The dark crystal absorbs the energy from the sun and imbues the Skeksis with their immortality, chat. But again, they look like all disgusting turkey fucks. They're just gross. They're falling apart. They're drooling and just shitting. They're just covered in their own shit and their own urine. It's like, oh my God. And they wear all these fancy clothes, and they have all this jewelry on it just to cover up what ugly assholes they are, chat. But they can't cover that up. We see it, and they just look decrepit and monstrous. But they present themselves in front of the crystal, chat, and they just start absorbing that sweet, sweet energy, trying to prolong their lives unnaturally. But they're dying. The thing is, their species is dying. There's only 10 of them left. Their emperor, chat, the emperor of the Skeksis, he's slowly dying. He can't even waddle out to get to the dark crystal anymore, chat. He's just sick and dying in bed. But then you also have the mystics, chat, who are the complete opposite of the Skeksis, but they too are also dying. And their leader, chat, the master wizard of the mystic, he too is dying during this time period. And when they're all mourning him and his eventual passing, they all start doing a nice little throat song, because they gotta summon the hero, chat, the chosen one, a Gelfling, a humanoid little elf-like creature named Jen. And what's Jen doing, chat? He's just bathing in a pond, and we see for the first time a naked puppet. And I'm like, I forgot they showed him naked in this movie. I was like, oh, Jesus, okay, all right, enough of that. But he's just by the pond, chat, dick and balls out, playing on his little ocarina. His little Legend of Zelda ocarina, chat. But he hears he hears that guttural throat sound, and he's like, oh shit, the time is coming, I must go. And the narrator is going on about how this prophecy, how a Gelfling will finally reunite will finally bring life back to Thrall and repair the Dark Crystal. But it will take time. It'll take time and a brave soul and many brave friends on this journey in order for Jen to do this. But eventually, we get a kind of sense of the environment. Jen is passing. I love I love how Jim Henson and Frank Oz took the time to showcase the environment of little puppets, because even the ground itself is a puppet. It's like how it's moving, and you really get a sense like, wow, Thrall is alive. I love all these little mushroom puppets that are constantly like sucking, hoping to get like a creature to absorb. You have these mounds of grass, which are giant puppet shell, like the hills themselves. Like, it's really well done. Cristando, good to see you. Hope you're doing very well. Currently reviewing the Dark Crystal. But eventually, chat, he goes and finds his master, chat, the great wizard mystic, the leader of the mystics. And he's like, Jen, I have raised you since I found you as a babe. And he's like, Master, you okay? Do you need anything? I'm fucking dying over here. And you need to find the shard. The shard for what? That's the shard of a crystal. Jesus Christ, listen to me. You must find Ogra. She will give you the shard. And once you get the shard, you gotta... And he dies. And he fucking dies right there. And Jen's like, wait, what do I gotta do? And he fucking shits himself and he dies. Yeah, you gotta go find Ogre, also known as Oprah. But meanwhile, chat, after this happens, after the death of the mystic wizard, we then cut back to the Skeksis, chat. We're introduced to the Chamberlain, who is kind of like second in command of the Skeksis forces, chat. He is the assistant, the Chamberlain to the Emperor. And I love that, again, the iconic... He has this whine, this inquisitive whine. He's a manipulator. He's a backstabber. He's a real piece of work, a real piece of shit. And he runs into the general, who always like, I hate your whining. We have to go see the emperor. And so they go in, and they go into the emperor's chambers, chat, and it just smells like urine. It smells like shit, because this guy, they have not even bothered to clean up after him, chat. He can't even pick himself up there. And they see, and everyone's looking at him, and he looks fucking pathetic. And you have the one guy, the master of ceremony of the Skeksis, he's like, the emperor is dying. And the Chamberlain's like, He's by the bedside of the emperor, and immediately he's like, I don't give a shit that this guy's dying. Me, Chamberlain, will be emperor. And he goes for the scepter, and the emperor goes, no, I am still and he fucking dies. And everyone's like, whoa. He just sits back, just gives a big old death fart, and then his face starts caving in on it. It's kind of horrifying. Like, I totally understand why, parents probably saw this and go, this is too scary for children, because there's some really fucked up stuff, like watching this weird bird abomination creature just defecate all over itself and then just fall apart. Like, it turns to dust. He just turns completely to dust, and they're like, whoa. Holy shit. They're all kind of freaked out by this because Skeksis hasn't died in some time, chat, because they prolonged their life unnaturally through the dark crystal. And the Chamberlain's just going, But then we cut back to Jen, and thankfully, when his master dies, the Mystic Wizard, he just pulls a Yoda. He literally pulls a Yoda, and where he just vanishes, kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda chat from the original trilogy. So thankfully, he didn't shit himself and just fell apart into dust. But Jen's very sad. The Mystics, they all do a ceremony mourning the death of their leader, but they too are very much the father figures for Jen as well. They've taken care of him since he was a child, and they are sending him on his quest. They're preparing him, giving him all the resources, and they're like, listen, kid, you gotta go find Ogra. You gotta find that crystal. All right, we got our own plans right now. We can't join you, but we know you can do it, Jen. You're the chosen one. He's like, all right, cool. And so he goes off, chap. He goes off. But eventually, we cut back to, and we see beautiful environments. Like, again, the cinematography in this movie is outstanding. They use some blue screen. There's some matte paintings, but they also do some just general outside shots, and it's gorgeous. Really love the look of this movie. But then we cut back to the Skeksis, who are in the chamber, the court chamber, if you will, and they're all arguing about who should be emperor next. You have the two people who want to be emperor, which is the general, Chad. He's the leader of the military forces of the Skeksis. And you have the Chamberlain, who is the advisor, the soothsayer, if you will, to the emperor. And you have some of the Skeksis who support the general, and you have some of the Skeksis who support the Chamberlain. And the fucking Chamberlain's like, I should be emperor. And he just marches up to the fucking throne, about to grab the scepter. Everyone's like, Chamberlain, no, don't do it. And General's like, Chamberlain. And he marches up there too. And Chamberlain, he whacks the scepter out of the Chamberlain's hand. He's like, no, you will pay for that, General. Trial by stone. Everyone's like, what the fuck is trial by stone? Everyone starts, trial by stone, trial by stone. He's like, trial by stone it is. And this is interesting. So the Skeksis, because there are literally only 9 of them left at this point, their entire species is 9 disgusting bird abomination things. They don't kill each other. What they do is they do trial by not combat, but by stone. And so what happens is this, you get these little sad, poor podlings where they're they're all gray and got wide eyes. They've been abused for however many years. And they bring out this giant stone with these 2 swords, right next to it. And the Chamberlain, the general, they pull out these swords, and it's like, oh shit, they're about to fucking throw down. They're like, no, these fucking fucks ain't gonna do that. What they do is they pull out the swords, they clang them together, and they each take a swing at the stone, Chad. So the general, he's up first. And he hits the stone. Everyone's like, yes, very good, very good, very good. And Chamberlain's like, he just does a screech, which kills me every time. He hits it. He makes an even bigger mark than the general. Everyone's like, it's very good, it's very good. And Chamberlain might be the emperor. And then the general's like, he's very mad. He's like, and he does this huge, massive fucking swing, and he cuts the goddamn stone in 2. And everyone's like, holy shit. And then General's like, I am emperor. And they're like, General's emperor, General's emperor. Chamberlain's like, oh shit. And so they seat the general on the throne. He grabs the scepter and he's like, remove the Chamberlain, strip him of all his finery. And the Chamberlain's like, no, please, no, no. And they all start, they all backstab each other like nothing. And they all swarm on him, and they're not going to kill him, but they just start ripping off all his fucking clothes. And she's like, no, please, no. He's just screeching and shit until we see the naked body of a Skeksis. And the thing is, they are abominations, because you even notice like some details, like they have weird appendages and like pustule sacs. And you notice on the Chamberlain, he has this weird fucked up arm on his shoulder that's all like emaciated and stuff. And I'm like, I just love the anatomy. They're very grotesque. And again, I can understand why parents are like, and movie executives are like, what the fuck? We can't sell this to kids. We can't sell this to a child. How are we going to do this? It's going to scare them. And it is. There's a lot of scary scenes in this movie. And the thing is, they're going to kill him? No, they're not going to kill him, because there are only 9 of them left. And the general's like, the Chamberlain is banished. And Chamberlain's like, and he grabs a little bit of his underwear, which is just, all shit stains in there. And he goes off. He waddles off. And at this point, the crystal, the crystal starts calling to the Skeksis, and it goes, they're like some kind of wavelength thing, and they're like, the crystal calls to us. The crystal calls to us all. And they all march out to the crystal room, chat, where it's just sitting there, and it's like, hey, how you guys doing? And it shows Jen on his journey, and they're freaked out because the Gelflings, chat, they're supposed to be extinct. See, the thing is, the Skeksis, they're all about sucking up sweet essences and shit, and they literally committed genocide on this species of Thrall, right? They sucked them all out, and they're like, the fact that they see one alive, they're like, what the hell is all this? And it's like, oh, Gelfling, it's horrible, it's ugly, we must kill it. And the general and the emperor, that general, who is now the Emperor, he's like, summon the big bad Beetleborgs. And I don't know what the name of these things are, chap, but the Beetle troops are amazing. These things are so cool looking. Like it's a mixture of puppetry and people in suits, and I just love the look of it. It's funny because I was reading about this film, and like even for the Gelflings, they need to like have 4 puppeteers to operate, like Jean and also Kira later on in the movie. And so I just loved the entire just design. These things are just it's like they're a combination of beetles and like octopi, and they have all these pincers and things, and they're created. We actually see an earlier version of them, or what species they're derived from, in the Age of Resistance series, and we actually see the appearance of one for the first time at the end of the show. But here it's like they've built them in mass and stuff. These are created by Skektek, also known as the scientist. He's the scientist of the Skeksis. But there's like, go fucking capture the Gelfling. We're going to capture him. But then even some of the advisors are like, whoa, let's have them kill the Gelfling. General's like, no, I wish to absorb his sweet essence. We can do that, right, scientists? Yes, we can, my lord. And it's like fantastic. And so they send them after Jen. Bat chat, we then cut, and we have a bat spy. So apparently there's these crystal bat spies that the Skeksis have created that can observe the goings-on of Thraw, and it projects. It's basically like a video camera, and it projects on the crystal, and this thing's watching Jen as he's ascending this great mountain, chat, as he's looking to meet Ogra the great, chat, Ogra the seer. And as he's traveling, chat, he passes by these vines, and they grab him, chat. See, little did he know, the vines were matter of fact, chat, they were hentai vines, and they wrap around his body. He fucking freaks out, because when you're wrapped around by hentai vines, you'd freak out too. But then who comes up, chat? A fucking eyeball. Someone's literally holding an eyeball. Looks like they plucked it out of someone, and they're going, what is this that I have caught? What is this in my hentai? And he's like, oh. And then we see, chat, it's this weird, big bosom troll woman who has another eye right there, has another blind eye in the middle of her forehead. And what she does is she puts the eye back inside of her own eye socket. And he's like, what the fuck are you? Me? I am Ogra. Only Ogra here now, and I spy a Gelfling? Impossible! Gelfling's all dead. Thra is dying. No, not possible to see Gelfling. He's like, no. I am a Gelfling. I'm a Gelfling. I was raised by the mystics, and my master, he set me on this quest to find you, Ogre. No one searches for Ogre anymore. People have lost faith. People do not care. He goes, no, he told me to seek you out, and he says that you have a crystal shard. Shards? Ogre has many shards. I could give you one, fine. Let him down. And she like waddles around. Crazy Brownie, thank you so much for resubscribing. A full, incredible year. Cheers and salute to you, Crazy Brownie. A pleasure to have you here right now. Using that Prime, too. You only get one of those a month. The fact you use it on my channel means a lot to me. Thank you for being here. But the Hentai Vines, they release Jen. And he goes up to Ogra's observatory chat. She has this giant observatory, an astronomy set and machine where she can observe the heavens from. And it's a wonderful, I love all the sets and the stages in this movie. It's really, really great. And they each define each character. Like you have Ogre, and she's a woman of mysticism and also science chat, where the Skeksis are science corrupted and covering up with like their finery, if you will. This gaudy elegance. Where the mystics are more in tune with the environment. They live in tune with nature. And so I like that each race has a very specific design and aesthetic and how they interact in the environment itself. It's pretty cool. But he goes up there and he's like, whoa, this fucking shit's so cool. They witness me, Mr. Hummendinger. Thank you for the raid. This is a non-dog pooping raid. Good to see you, Mr. Hummendinger. I hope you're doing very well. Pleasure to have you here. What were you streaming? What was on your docket for today? Kill a bitch, Vanessa. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Currently doing a review. Doing a little scene by scene breakdown. For the Dark Crystal, the 1982 Jim Henson classic. Just met Ogre. Jen has gone into your observatory and going like, what the fuck is all this bullshit? He doesn't know. Alex Bernal, YouTuber extraordinary. Brando Calories, and look at all the fine non-dog pooping going on right here. Classic indeed, Vanessa. Yeah, grew up with this. Although apparently a lot of people in my chat have not seen this film. And I'm telling them what is happening in this movie. No, good to see you, Alex. Hope you're doing well. Look at all the fine people we got here. Welcome. Person Man's seen it. He's seen it, chat. Nice. Mogi, any else seen Sebastian Stan's dick and Pam and Tommy? I have not seen his dick. I've seen Skeksy's dick. I've seen Skeksy's dick, but not Sebastian Stan's dick, sadly. But no, pleasure to have you, Mr. Hummendinger. Thank you again for the very kind raid. But Jen and Ogre, they go back up to her observatory, and Jen's like, what all is this? And she's like, this machine lets me observe the heavens all across the universe. And he is like, wow, that's really cool. Yes, it is cool, is it not? But no one appreciates it. No one but Ogre, a crystal you wanted, Gelfling. And he's like, yeah, I need a crystal. That'd be cool. And she's like, and then she does a thing consistently in the movie where she sits down and it sounds like and looks like she's just taking a poop, where she's like, because I guess she can't bend her legs anymore because she's so old, and she just sits down like takes just a squat, and it's like, crystals for you, Gelfling, and she just flings them all out. And there's like she has a shit ton of crystals. She's got a lot of crystals, chat. And he's like, I mean, I don't know which one. He's like, why would Ogre know that? The decision is yours, Gelfling, but you haven't time. And he's like, what are you talking about? The great conjunction will begin and everything will end. And he's like, what are you talking about? 1,000 years, Skeksis came to us, sucked the energy from Thra after the great conjunction, Skeksis and mystics both. And now the great conjunction, the second one, is at hand. Could be the end of everything, or the beginning. The choice is yours, Gelfling. Don't take too much time. And so finally he thinks, he's like, all right, it's between these. He's like, he went through a dozen crystals, and it's at least 3 crystals here. 1, 2, 3. He's like, oh, I don't know which one it is. I'm going to play my ocarina. And he just gets out his Ocarina of Time, chat, and starts fucking do-do-do-do-do, plays it, and the one crystal in the middle, chat, just starts to glow purple. He's like, that's the one. I got it. And he gets the crystal, and Okra's like, you've taken much time, Gelfling. Hopefully that is the crystal that you need. And he's like, I believe it is, Okra. Thank you so much for your help. And then, oh no, chat, her fucking observatory is being attacked by the big bad Beetleborgs, and they just start fucking breaking in. And Okra's like, no, my home. Stupid Borgs, stupid big bad Beetleborgs. Okra will fight you. And so she's like trying to push him, but they're just pushing her over and stuff because she's old and everything. But they're really going for the Gelfling, chat. They're going for Jen. And he's like, shit. And he jumps on top of her observatory, her spinning contraption chat that shows the heavens and everything. The whole, the galaxy and everything. And he's like, but they're destroying it and they're stabbing at it. And he eventually just yeets himself out the window as like Ogra's observatory is just burning around her. She's like, no, Ogra's home. And Jen, he eventually, he just falls down the mountain and he looks up and sees it burn. He's like, Ogra, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Ogre. He just fucking runs off. It's like, oh God, did the big bad Beetleborgs kill Ogre, chat? Did they kill her? But then as Jen runs off, who sees him, chat? Who spots him? The Chamberlain, chat. He followed the big bad Beetleborgs here and is watching Jen. What intentions does he have, chat? Ooh, I'll let you know in just a bit. But eventually, we cut back to the Mystics, and they're like, well, time to go on the pilgrimage to the great crystal castle where the Skeksis reside. And they all start marching, chat. They start going to little pilgrimage and things. Like, what's this all about? Because they know the great conjunction is at hand, but what is the great conjunction truly? Is it the end or the beginning? Eventually, cut back to Jing. And he's just walking through the woods. And again, they showcase all the environments here, all the puppets, like literally like mountains and hills are puppets, chat. All these little creatures, and they're all either cute or horrifying. And I'm just like, I don't know. But eventually he's walking around and boom, he encounters this little furry thing. It's like this little furry, looks like a Tribble from Star Trek. And he's going, and he's like, oh, hey, little guy. Hey, you doing okay? And he goes to pet and goes, rah! And it's like this giant fucking mouth. It looks like, then it turned from like a little Tribble to like the thing from, oh God, what was it? Critters. It looks like a thing from Critters chat. And he goes, rah! And he's like, oh! And he freaks out because he's like, he doesn't want to get his hand bit off. And he falls into some mud, chat. Falls ass first into some mud. And then all of a sudden, this person comes out and starts chastising the little furball chat. And she calls it a Fezgig. She's like, stop it, Fezgig. Stop being so mean. He's like, and he like clearly likes this person. And then she removes her hood, chat, and it's a girl. It's a female Gelfling, chat. And Jen is like, holy shit, you're hot. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, you've fallen into the mud. Let me help you. And she reaches out her hand and he touches her hand, chat. And we get like a weird scene where all of a sudden they start just exchanging information via their touch. And I think this is called dream fasting. I believe they call this dream fasting in the movie and in the TV series. And so we basically see their origins at once. They're all layered on top of each other, like they start finishing each other's sentences. And so for Jen, we see when his family hid him and when they were taken and killed by the Skeksis. And then he was raised by the Mystics. And then for this new Gelfling girl we just met, and her name is Kira, her mother hid her, and as they were taken by the big bad Beetleborg chat to then have all their energy, their sweet essence sucked out by the Skeksis. And she was raised by the Podling chat, another race of that is on Thraw. They're like little toad people. They're pretty cute, but they just, they don't have any hygiene or anything like that. But they, they're the dominant race right now in terms of numbers on Thraw. And then fucking Jen, he lets go of her hand. He's like, Kira, your name is Kira. Why do I know so much about you now? She goes, that was called dream fasting. It is a form of communication between the Gelflings. Are you a Gelfling? And he goes, I am. I thought I was the only Gelfling, and I thought that too. But he starts slowly sinking into the mud. And he realizes, like, oh, this is quicksand. Oh, no. And she's like, don't worry. I can get you out. And then she starts doing some throat singing. And then all of a sudden, this quicksand that Jen is sitting in starts to raise up, and he is able to get out, and it's actually a giant frog abomination. It's a giant frog puppet. And he's like, how did you do that? She goes, oh, the podlings have taught me to communicate with all the creatures of Thra. And he's like, that's amazing. That's an incredible gift. And she goes, oh, thank you. And he's like, do you want to meet my family? And he's like, yeah, that would be amazing. And so then we see that the frog monster has like a whole bunch of babies, his little frog abomination babies, and they're all going, bah! And they start sucking on the frog teats, chat. And then we immediately cut to all that frog teats sucking, and we see the feasting of the Skeksis, chat. They got a nice spread. They're also eating some frog abomination babies, chat, just stuffing themselves of worms and podlings and all sorts of stews, and they're burping and farting and they're belching, and it's disgusting, chat. I mean, I'd probably eat some of the stuff they're eating too. But this is just Jim Henson just going, ooh, I just want a scene where all these guys in these suits controlling these puppets are just throwing food into their mouths and throwing food at each other and stabbing things with forks and knives. I like the design too, the Skeksis, because their hands are kind of fucked up and gnarly now. Like, they have utensils. They're like a fork, but they can stick it on their finger. They can eat like that. Or a spoon, they eat like that. Or they just go face fucking first into like a bowl of soup and just go blah, 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 and they just burp and they vomit up. And it's horrifying, but it's really cool at the same time. After that, then they start to hear, they get a little announcement, a little ringing, because everyone's talking about, like, the big bad Beetleborgs have not recovered the Gelfling. Ooh, I hope they don't fail, scientists. Like, please, my friends, I promise you, they will bring us the Gelfling. And all of a sudden, you hear a ring-a-ding-ding from the big bad Beetleborg, and they start marching. They got something in a sack. And they're like, ooh, yes, they have provided us with the Gelfling. And they empty the sack out, and it's Ogra. And she's like, where am I? Oh, Skeksis, disgusting, old, festering, shitting Skeksis should have known when big bad Beetleborgs capture Ogra. And she just starts telling them everything we've been thinking about him, chat. You guys are gross, you're genocidal maniacs, and I hope you all die. And when she's doing that, she's just like taking their shit. She's like taking like a silver candlestick or like their food and just putting it in like her sack. Eat later, Ogra will. Just puts it in there. It's great. And she's just telling him, like, the Gelflings, the prophecy is true. They're going to destroy you fully. You don't stand a goddamn chance. And they're like, no, we will destroy the Gelflings. You cannot save them, Ogra. You failed many years ago, and you will fail here. And she's like, fuck you. And then they put her in jail. Eventually, though, we then cut because they're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because the general is like, bats, crystal bats, find the Gelfling for us. Destroy anyone who assists him. They all fly out. They fly out. Eventually, we cut back to the heroes chat. We cut back to Kira. We cut back to Jen and little Fezzik. And they're all hanging out and stuff in a boat. She's got like a little rowboat. But then, she spots a crystal bat in the sky. And she's like, shit. And she has this slingshot. And she goes, and boom, she throws a rocket and fucking hits it right out of the sky and it goes in the water. And Jen's like, what is that? And he's like, that's a crystal bat. Those are spies for the Skeksis. They can't know where we are. And he's like, oh, cool, good shot. And she continues to row the boat and goes to their little village. But the crystal bats survive, chat. It's all fucked up and derpy, but it does follow them as they go to the village. And then we're introduced to the Podling Village chat, and there are these little frog toad people, and they're pretty cute. They just like strumming on their little banjos. They like drinking, their mead and everything. And they've been raising Kira for all these years. Kira introduces Jen to all of them, and they're like, Jen. And they speak like, hobble bobble language, all speaking hobble bobble and boppity boopy. He doesn't understand it. He's asking Kira for like common phrases, how he could communicate with them. The Podlings take a shine to him. They start dancing and everything, having a great time. But eventually, Jen and Kira, they spend a little quality time with each other, talking about like the crystal and how, she's like, oh, the crystal shard, the part of the dark crystal. That's what Ogre was talking about. You need to reunite it. He goes, that's what it is. We have to reunite this shard with the dark crystals. But as soon as they figure that out, the big bad Beetleborgs have arrived, and they start rounding up all the podlings, all the pod people, because they need their sweet essence. And they're decimating the village. They're burning everything. They're squishing babies. It's a goddamn nightmare, chat. And right before the big bad Beetleborgs are about to take both Jen and Kira, the Chamberlain steps out to protect them, and he puts his hand in front of the big bad Beetleborgs. He's like, no further, no further. And they're like, what the hell? And they run off. And Jen, he's never seen a Skeksis before, and he's asking Kira and him to run. He's like, what was that creature? And she's like, that's the Skeksis. That's what we're fighting against, Jen. And eventually they take refuge, but he like got his arm cut by one of the big bad Beetleborgs, chat, and they rest, and she applies some medicinal herbs, chat, applies the medicinal herbs, and they rest, chat, and then they embrace, and then, chat, we have the first puppet sex scene ever theatrically released, chat. These two just start going at it, and eventually they recover. And they open their eyes, and it's morning now, chat, and they're in each other's arms, embraced so thoroughly in each other's arms, and they put their clothes back on after all the good puppet sex, and they realize where they actually are. They're in they're right near a dilapidated temple, a dilapidated Gelfling temple, chat, and he goes and because. Jen, he understands the Gelfling language because he was taught by the mystic, the wizard, his master. And fucking, Kira, she doesn't know writing because the podlings don't have writing. She's like, what is that? And it's like, what is this language? These are words that stay. This is the history of our people. And he reads the prophecy about the great conjunction, about the three sons of Thra coming together, and of great change, but also of a new beginning, an end and a beginning. And he's like, this is it. This is the prophecy, Kira. We are part of this prophecy. We are the chosen ones for our people. And then all of a sudden they hear, Gelfling, chosen one. It's the Chamberlain. He's naked and it's gross. And he's like, and they're like, oh shit, it's the Skeksis. And he's like, stay back, stay back. He's like, no. Skeksis not enemy of Gelfling. Skeksis friend of Gelfling. Chamberlain friend. Yes. We hear a prophecy and we misunderstood. We know Gelfling good. Come with Chamberlain. Come to Crystal Palace, and we be friends with Gelfling. Just make understand. And Kira's like, don't trust that son of a bitch. I don't like his whining. And, Jen is like, I don't know. He's like, but then Chamberlain's like, no, Jen, friend of Chamberlain, please come, please. And Kira's like, I don't like this. And he's like, well, honey, we just had sex, so I'll do whatever the hell you want to do. And they take off running. And, Chamberlain's like, no, please, Chamberlain, have sex with you too. No, please. And they run off. They eventually run off, chat. But then at that point, Chamberlain's still fucking following because he's a weirdo and he's a creep. However, they eventually come to a clearing, and at this point, he's like, okay, well, we do need to get to the castle because that's where the dark crystal is. So we got to go in that direction. And he's like, but how? But that's so many miles away. That's hundreds of miles away. It's like however many miles away. How do we get there? And so she starts, I know, she's like, I'm intuitive nature, baby. And she starts fucking whistling again. And these weird, kind of scary, but cool, but also kind of cute. It's a combination of all sorts of things. These weird rabbit camels arrive. Are like bunny camels, chat. They're like they have like the bodies of bunnies, but they have these huge fucking legs, and they're just like, whoa. And he's like, what the fuck are these? And she's like, these are bunny camels. We can ride them to the castle. And he's like, all right, cool. And so they get on the bunny camels, chat, and they ride up. And they write out. Eventually, we cut back to the Skeksis, chat, the laboratory of the scientist. And he is performing an experiment, chat. He has found 3 podlings in which to absorb the sweet, sweet essence. And he strapped them down into these, 2 mechanical chairs, chat. And what they do is they use a reflective crystal that then is hit by the sun for the dark crystal. It goes the sun, the dark crystal, and the reflective crystal. And you look in the reflective crystal, it sucks out all your essence juice. And so he's like, sweet podlings, look into the crystal, give us your essence. And so they're dumb, they don't know. And so they look at the crystal and they just get the life sucked out of them. They don't die, but they might as well be. They're like zombies, because we see their other podlings, they're all like, rah, they're all derpy and they're all gray skinned and everything. And he sucks it out and it puts it in this jar, basically. And then the general, that new emperor, he comes down. He's like, is the essence prepared? Not Chamberlain. Is the essence prepared, scientist? He's like, yes, my general, I have it right here. And so he's like, yes, it will make you young again. And he's like, fantastic. And so he just drinks all of it, chat. And he looks into the mirror, and we see that his features, his weathered, old, disgusting features, they start to become new again, chat. Fucking General gets a makeover. He gets a facelift. Hands looking nice and smooth, chat. Don't need to apply any of that ointment, any of that lotion. He's like, I'm young again. But then he's like, oh. And he looks at his hand, and it starts to become all weathered and gross and shit. And then he notices his face starts to get sunk in. He's like, you fool, it didn't work. And he starts like chasing the scientist around. He's like, no, please, my emperor, I assure you it works. It's just the podlings. They're not suitable candidates for essence sucking. If only we had the Gelflings, then we would be able to make you young again. Ensure that we get the Gelflings. And he farts and he leaves. And he's like, we must obtain the Gelflings. No more than 50 minutes. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the night. You too, no more. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Hope you enjoyed yourself. But we come until now we know like the process, how the Skeksis have been able to prolong their life, Chad. They've been sucking out the essence juice from all of the species of Thrall, and they've used on the Gelflings and pretty much wiped them all out. Except for these two, except for Kira, of course, and except for Jen. But eventually we come back to Jen and Kira, and they're riding on the weird bunny camels, but they come upon some of the big bad Beetleborgs, and Kira notices that in one of the cages is her family members, the podlings. And she's like, Jen, we have to rescue my family. He's like, okay. And so they get down, and they're like, how are we going to distract them? And the only way, Chad, is that they do it because apparently the bunny camels, they fucking hate... They hate the big bad Beetleborgs. They're like, don't worry, guys, we got this. And they charge the big bad Beetleborgs, chat. But and then while Jen and Kira go and free the podlings from the thing. The problem is, though, chat, the big bad Beetleborgs are a lot stronger than the camels, and they get fucked. This always scared me as a child. They get really messed up here. And where one big bad Beetleborg just takes the camel and they're wrestling with each other and they just throw each other over the edge. And the rest of the big bad Beetleborgs, they just literally stab the one bunny camel to death. And it's like, oh my God. So both of their mounts are dead at that point. The podlings have run off, but, you know, the big bad Beetleborgs are chasing after Jen and Kira at this point, and they're over a precipice, chat. They're over a canyon, and they, like, got nowhere to go. And so Kira's like, do you trust me? He's like, I always will. And she grabs him, and they just fucking yeet themselves off the fucking edge. But she has wings, chat. Boop, these wings pop out, and she floats and glides down to the bottom of the canyon. And the big bad Beetleborgs are just looking at him going, shit. And it's like, you have wings? And she goes, of course. He goes, but I'm a Gelfling too. I don't have wings. She goes, well, of course you don't, silly. You're a boy. And he goes, oh yeah. So female Gelflings have wings, chat. But hey, they're getting close to the castle, chat. And conveniently, very conveniently, chat, there is a particular way into the castle via these chambers, chat, that are actually used by the big bad Beetleborgs. And it's this horrific looking mouth thing. And it's just like, And, you know, they're like, that looks safe. Let's go in there. And so they go inside there, Chad. They go inside there. It's dilapidated. It's all fucking falling apart. And, you know, they're walking and they're talking about just the whole situation, how they're sad about the bunny camels. And Kira's hoping her family gets back, you know, home and everything. But then they hear... They're like, this fucker again. Gelfling! Gelfling friends, don't be scared. Chamberlain follow you here. Chamberlain want to bring you back to castle. Safe journey, yes. Friend, yes. And Kira's like, and Jen are like, no, get away from us, dude. He's like, no. Gelfling rude to Chamberlain. Chamberlain wish to help. Come to Chamberlain. And he grabs Kira. And Kira's like, no, let go of me. Let go of me, you fucking weird creep. And Jen freaks out. He's like, get your hands off my girl. And he takes the crystal and goes, and just drives it right into the hand of the Chamberlain. He's like, Mah! And we cut to the Mystics. And we see one of the Mystics, chat. His hand immediately starts bleeding. He's like, soon. And then we goes like, what's that all about? And then we cut back to the Skeksis, and he just he slaps the shit out of Jen. And then he hits one of the, because, you know, the whole thing has a shitty foundation. It's like an ancient mine, basically. And he hits a wooden, board, and it causes a cave in, and if all these debris and rocks fall on Jen, stupid Gelfling, should have listened to Chamberlain. Come with me, Gelfling girl. She's like, no, Jen. And then we see Fezzik, he's there too. And he starts barking and shit. She's like, no, stay with Jen, Fezzik, stay with Jen. And so he's like, all right, and he stays with him. But eventually, we cut, and the Chamberlain has officially kidnapped poor Kira at this point. It's a goddamn shame. And we cut back to the Skeksis, and they're all eating and shitting, and they're, you know, having their little court session, or their royal court session, if you will. And all of a sudden, the Chamberlain presents himself in front of the other Skeksis. Fellow Skeksis, Chamberlain brings gift, brings thing that you want. And they're like, what have you brought us, Chamberlain? And he presents the Gelfling. I give you Gelfling. And they're like, holy shit, how did you do that? He's like, I do what big bad Beetlebugs could not. And they're like, all right, that's pretty good. All right. And like the master of ceremony, he's like, we should kill the Gelfling. She is an abomination. And the general's like, and the scientist is like, wait, master of ceremonies, emperor. We can drain her, make you young again. He's like, that sounds good. Drain her of her sweet essence and provide the Chamberlain with his robes and finery. Chamberlain's like, So the Chamberlain's back in the good graces of the court at this point. Then we again cut back to Jen, who is still buried underneath the debris, but Fezzik helps him get him unburied, and they fucking take off to the castle, chat, because they gotta fucking save Kira at this point. It's coming down to the wire, chat. But then we cut to the laboratory of the scientist who is strapped Kira in there, and he's like, do not worry, Gelfling, all will be over soon. Just look into the crystal. But Ogra's also there. She's been seeing like some creepy shit. Ogra's seen some shit. Ooh, Kira, you have the gift. You are a powerful Gelfling. Use your call. But then, you know, and this is when she's getting all of her essence sucked out, chat. And so she's kind of aging a little bit. She's looking a little worse for wear, a little weathered. And so she just starts calling to the animals that are all within the laboratory of the scientist, because he does fucked up experiments on them. And she's just calling it, and they lose their minds, chat. And they just burst out of their cages, and they just start mauling the scientist. He's like, no, please, oh God, no. He's like, just start tearing at his belly, and they start just taking chunks of meat out of him. He's like, oh God, no. And he's so distracted and in so much horrific pain. He doesn't know that he's walking towards the precipice, chat, where he eventually just goes, he falls off, and he falls into fucking lava and dies. And we then come back to the Mystic, who suddenly just bursts into flame and just disintegrates. And all the Mystics kind of go, well, that was something. Anyway, and then they just keep walking. And I'm like, the conjunction is at hand. And she, you know, she frees. She's a little fucked up now, but she frees herself. She frees the animals. She goes to free Ogra. But Ogra's like, do not free Ogra, girl. You must help Jen. Help Jean. Find him. Find him, you must. And she's like, okay, I promise, Ogra. And she runs off. Eventually at this point, Jen and Fezzik, they've entered the castle. They're being pursued by the big bad fucking Beetleborgs, chat. And he's like, I gotta get to the, yeah, that's the thing. He's crawling through the chamber where all the lava is. He gets up there, Chad, and that's when he's being chased by the big bad Beetleborgs and everything. He gets in the chamber where all of the other Skeksis are at this point because they want that sweet, sweet energy from the crystal. It's that energy ceremony time. And they're like, Gelfling, an abomination. And they're like, Gelfling, sweet essence from Gelfling. It will be glorious. Yes. But then at this point, Kira, she also gets there, and she sees that they're all about to surround and attack Jen. And she's like, no, Jen. He's like, Kira, get out of here, Kira. She's like, no. And she jumps down in front of the Skeksis, and she's like, reunite the crystal, Jen. You need to do it. The great conjunction is at hand. And right as she says this, the master of ceremony Skeksis comes up behind her and just stabs her right in the back with his sword. And she's like, oh! And she falls down dead. He freaks the fuck out. And he just yeets himself. He has the shard. All the Skeksis are panicking at this point because they don't know what the hell is going to happen when that shard hits the crystal. He throws himself into it. Boom, reunites the shard in the crystal, chat. And the crystal, it was originally like purpley dark, and now it becomes bright white. And the Skeksis are running around panicking. And this is when the Mystics have finally entered the castle, chat. They're moving over. They're walking around. And the Skeksis order the big bad Beetleborgs, kill the Mystics, kill the Gelfling, kill Ogre. But the big bad Beetleborgs, they're not moving. And they just start falling apart, chat, because the purifying light of the crystal has killed them because they were abominations. They are not a true species of Thraw. But all of a sudden, the Mystics start to march in front of the crystal, and they surround it, and the Skeksis are still just panicking at this point, but then all of a sudden, this beam of light shoots out of the crystal into the Mystics, which then shoots out of the Mystics and hits each Skeksis, and they freeze. They just suddenly freeze, and they start walking backwards, chat. It's almost in a trance, and soon the Mystics, they basically just hug. They hug the Skeksis, and then a big flash of light happens, chat, and the Mystics and the Skeksis have become one during the Great Conjunction, chat. And after this big bright light goes off, Ogre seeing this, Jen is seeing this. Ogre also, at one point, I think, like, Chamberlain, like, throws Fezzik down a goddamn lava pit, but Ogre saves him, chat, so don't worry. She saves that little shit. He's okay. But all of a sudden, this big, huge explosion of light happens, and the Skeksis and the Mystics have become one. They've become the Uraseks, or whatever they're called. And they're these alien beings, chat. They're so ethereal. And this is what they originally were before they came to Thraw, chat. Before the Great Conjunction that happened 1,000 years ago. And they're like, hey, everybody, so we kind of fucked this planet up. Sorry. And Jen's like, what about Kira? And like, hey, man, our bad, you know, our halves got split, and like we had the good half, and then we had the shitty, we're gonna like kill everybody half. They got split, but we're back together now, so we know what's happening. Yeah, don't worry. The crystal's gonna repair your world. Look over there. And we see all the podlings. Suddenly they get all their essence back, all the slave podlings, and life starts to come back to Thraw. He's like, it's gonna take time. You know, sorry about that. You know, but you know, all good things come with time, of course. We'll resurrect your girlfriend for you. He goes, oh, that'd be really cool. And they're like, all right, done. And they shoot her with some white light. And she's like, oh, Jesus, what the hell happened? And she's all pretty again. She's not emaciated and shit. He's like, here, we did it. She's like, cool, let's go have puppet sex. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene by scene breakdown for the Dark Crystal. No more evil foreskin bird abominations this time. They're gone. I would give it a low full price. Low full price right there. Hell of a movie. Brilliant world building. Great sets. Great puppetry. Really cool voice acting. Some pacing issues, chat. Definitely some pacing issues. You know, and some corners cut in terms of the story and shit. Shit just happens for the sake of happening. But overall, it's a really entertaining movie. One I recommend checking out, chat. It is on HBO Max right now. See it for yourselves and judge it for yourselves, because I am just a humble human reviewing this fine film. There you go. Hope you enjoyed the review. Great review. Thank you. For those who know what I was going through in Discord chat, I got it taken care of. Oh, thank you for help. For everyone else, just know I kept a group of assholes for stealing my... Oh, shit. Throwing at Tommy anything is the asshole of too much fucking time. Oh, Artie, I had no idea. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I haven't been in the general chat in the Discord, but this week. Been busy with things, but I'm glad you got it taken care of. Glad that situation's handled. Yeah. No problem, man. No problem, RD. The VOD's always there for you. No issue whatsoever. But, Chad, I hope you enjoyed the review to The Dark Crystal. It was very fun for me. Woo! Yeah, it's got pacing issues. It's got some pacing issues. But still, I think it's still a pretty good movie. Woo!